Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sharon. So for today's video, we are going to be talking about do's and don'ts for your UX case studies in your portfolio. So we're just going to go over some things that you should definitely include or do, and then some things that you should be very mindful of. Now, of course, if this sounds like something that you are interested in, don't forget to support me by liking, sharing, commenting, and of course, subscribing to my channel. So without wasting any more time, guys, let's get into today's video. So as I mentioned, this video is about do's and don'ts. So I have split it up into the different sections, and you can find them linked below in the timestamps in the description. So you can jump ahead to the do's and the don'ts and whatever interests you the most. So let's get started with our do's. Do number one is ensure that your case study is documented in a clear, sequential manner. And you want to ensure that in each section within your case study, there are clear headers dividing up or splitting up one section from the other. So you want to have your overview section, your design section, your research section. However you decide to split it up, just make sure that it's easy to follow and it's broken down in a way that one can easily visually digest what section that they are in at whatever point throughout reading your portfolio. Second thing you definitely want to include in your case study is what you learned. So this would typically be at the end, but you want to highlight what you learned, what you could have done better, some concluding points and things like that. This just shows that you're always trying to learn and you're always improving on yourself, and that every time you work on a project, you try to ensure that you end the project a better designer than when you started it. Third thing you want to definitely do and include in your case study is include directions that you explored. This shows that you're not just like a one-dimensional designer, and that you explored different things and then you finally decided based on feedback from others what was the best method. So you want to just include directions that were probably considered but ultimately discarded. Fourth thing you want to definitely do is explain your results. So you know when in your case study you are highlighting, oh yes, this is what we eventually did, these are the results, this is what we finally designed. You want to explain it. So you want to explain, for example, if you have a login screen. So you want to include why you chose to maybe design that login screen that you did. So maybe at some point you realize that 90% of your users have Facebook accounts, and that was what informed including social sign-up. So a sign up with Facebook or Google or something like that. And so as a result, that's what influenced that design. So you just want to ensure that at every point in time when someone is reading through your case study, they're following through your thought process and they can understand easily why you made certain decisions. Fifth thing that you definitely want to do is highlight your collaboration. Now, you might, especially when you're starting out in design, you might think it's a great thing to be the person that knows it all and can do it all. Surely this is a great thing, but especially when you work with bigger teams and you're in a growing company, you're always going to have to collaborate with others. So it is very crucial that you highlight that ability when you are writing your case studies. So when people are looking through your work, looking through your designs, reading through your case study, they should be able to read and see you collaborated with a UX researcher, you collaborated with developers, with product managers, with UX writers, and other possible stakeholders. So this really just highlights your ability to work well with others and get results. So we've spoken a little bit about our do's. Now let's talk about don'ts. So things that you should absolutely not do, or at least be mindful of. Don't number one, don't use just pictures. So this is for everyone who applies for jobs using just their Dribble profile. Unless you're applying for a job that specifically says they just want a visual designer, like just graphics only, as a UX designer, your portfolio should not just be screenshots, because process is an extremely important part of proving yourself as a designer, as a good designer. So you want to ensure that whenever you are showing off your past works, that it's not just pictures. Include your process, include as much information as you can that will give people context to what it is that you are doing, how you arrived at this particular designs, and so on. Don't number two is don't make it too long. Now I know that with case case studies, it can be a bit confusing because it's like, don't make it too short and don't make it too long, but just always try to trim off the excesses that you feel are not exactly important. A great way to figure out what could be too much information is really just to get a second opinion. So once you've written out your case study, share it around and get feedback from other designers, maybe people with a bit more experience than you, just other people around that can say, maybe this doesn't really add to it, so you can just try your best to trim it down. Always try to keep your case studies as to the point as possible so that whoever is reading through it, could be a recruiter, potential design manager, clients, can easily get the gist of what it is that you're saying and be able to make a decision based on what you have presented to them. Don't number 3, which is something that is extremely important, is don't expose sensitive information. So if it's something that you worked with for a past client, be very careful not to expose the amount of information that could possibly get you into some kind of trouble. So if, for example, you signed an NDA or some kind of thing, or just being discreet in general. If you don't want it to get into the wrong hands, try and include a password or some extra layer of protection to ensure that their details are not exposed to just anyone. Another thing to be mindful of is in situations where you're doing maybe user testing and user research, there can be situations where you would find yourself maybe taking pictures of participants. Ensure that if you're going to post maybe pictures or names or any kind of things like that, it is either with your content or you go ahead and maybe use stock imagery or blur out their faces or take an extra layer to protect their privacy. So do your best not to expose any sensitive information that could potentially put someone in harm's way or even get you into some kind of legal trouble as well. So the last and extremely important don't compromise on the usability of your portfolio. So whatever platform it is that you're going to use, you need to ensure that it is usable and it is responsive and the colors and everything align with accessibility guidelines and so on. You also need to make sure your fonts are readable and that everything is extremely clean and easy to go through. This is very important because as a UX designer, if your UX for your portfolio is bad, that speaks very badly of you. So the UX of your portfolio needs to be top-notch so that people can actually rate you highly as a designer that knows what they're doing. So guys, I really hope today's video was helpful for you. If it was, don't forget to support me by liking, sharing, commenting, and of course subscribing to my channel. So thank you all so much for watching and see you all next time.